1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show.
The time, believe it or not, a few months later, his gravestone was struck by lightning, which just sounds remarkable. And we sort of laugh about the story, but he would have felt life was a bit tough for him. But yeah, this Booth and Lincoln thing is quite remarkable, really, when you think about it, isn't it?
It is actually.
As a story.
It's remarkable. I think it's a remarkable one. I'll chalk it up to unforeseen occurrences that happens in life. But I must tell you the truth, each of them are bombastically strange. Bombastically strange. Yeah, because what are the odds, right? What are the odds? The odds are very almost non-existent, and yet they happen. You know, that's strange. The Lincoln saga. Did he not think his brother was having intentions of doing something bad? Maybe the brother was in the military or something.
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, John Wilkes Booth is obviously a very famous name in history for killing President Abraham Lincoln. But the story of his brother and the train station isn't so well known. But it's one of life's oddities, isn't it? That sometimes life throws up. It's a bit inexplicable, but I guess occasionally really odd coincidences do happen. And perhaps the last major one I'll talk about concerns the Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Now, this was in 1914, and he was a very important man. He was the heir to the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Well, one time he was visiting Sarajevo with his entourage. He had about 3 vehicles behind him in the motor parade. And anyway, they got to Sarajevo. Well, they didn't know that there was a group of men, 5 or 6 of them, intent on killing the Archduke that day. And they had bombs and guns, and they knew the route he was taking. Well, when his car came alongside this group of men, as I say, this was in 1914, one of them threw his bomb at the Archduke's car. It bounced off and exploded, badly burning and injuring some people in the car behind in the motor parade. So obviously the driver of the Archduke carried on quickly to go to the town hall where there was a planned meeting. And obviously there was a lot of shock about what had happened. Well, the meeting took place in some form or another. Afterwards, a couple of hours later, the Archduke instructed his driver to take him back because he wanted to see the people who'd been badly injured. Well, the driver said, okay, I'll do that. But he didn't know the roads very well, the streets in Sarajevo, and he realised he'd gone the wrong way. Well, in the meantime, one of the person who threw the bomb thought, oh, we've missed our opportunity, and he sort of wandered off to a shop to get some food, for something to eat. As he came out of the shop, the Archduke's car had stopped because the driver wanted to turn round. He'd lost his way. So he was stopped there, and as he came out, he saw the Archduke, and he thought, this is an opportunity far too good to miss. And he shot the Archduke Ferdinand, Franz Ferdinand, and he got him in the neck. And he also shot the Archduke's wife, Sophie. She was hit in the stomach, and they both died a few minutes later. Well, there was an almighty event that was caused by this, and what actually happened was, within a very short while, a few days, all of Europe was pulled into a conflict that would actually.
1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show. It's hosted by Cuz. He'll introduce the gang who'll make the show go with a bang, with fun.
To a conflict that would actually claim 20 million lives. The wrong turn by the driver triggered triggered a chain of events that led directly to World War One. You may have seen before the death of Archduke Franz Ferdinand triggered this, and this is what happened because of a single wrong turn. And ultimately, the war that claimed 20 million lives changed the course of the 20th century completely, all because of that trigger impact on that day in Sarajevo. So again, how we that may not be coincidence, but it's just an amazing thing how certain what seem to be small events can trigger something so awful in our history. So any thoughts on that, either of you?
Well, as soon as you said 1914, it piqued my interest straight away. I'm like,
you thought about the war. Yeah.
Well, it's a very pivotal year in the history of mankind, isn't it? 1914, because that's when the whole world decided to start killing themselves.
Yeah.
So
it's incredible.
So, for me, that isn't a coincidence.
No.
And I don't want to go forever into it, because then it leads into biblical prophecies. Religion is something that we don't discuss on this show, but it's a very, very pivotal year in history. And what if I told you that was meant to happen anyway? Not the events that led to it, but the war itself was, it was meant to happen.
You think 20 million people were meant to die in something that was destined to happen? Is that what you think?
Well, I'm saying that there was meant to be a catastrophic event in that year anyway. So however it was brought about, it doesn't really it doesn't really matter how it was brought about, but there was meant to be a catastrophic event in that year 1914. I'm sure GLADYS has some things to say about that as well.
What do you think, GLADYS?
I wanted to just add, I think I'm unmuted now. What I wanted to just add was, well, for that one, they didn't stop trying to kill him, actually. Yes, they failed the first time when the bomb missed his car, but then they were all around that route. They were all very attentive. They were alert to the fact that we could have another opportunity, to be very fair.
Yeah, they would have.
1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show. It's hosted by Cuz. He'll introduce the gang who'll make the show go with a bang.